And we are live. Welcome, guys, to another episode. Today's episode is going to be an interesting episode. Listen, I've got a fire show for you guys today. Listen, if you're just joining me, if you listen on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button, hit the like button, hit whatever button they've got on Spotify. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, show some love, guys, because today we're going to be talking about something which I think is. Listen, if you're living on the planet Earth, and if you're someone who lives in the U.S., you know that this is what's happening. I mean, we live in the most divided time in which the country has ever been. We live in a point in time in which men are typically. There's an article and a chart you guys are gonna want to read, but my mind was blown when actually, according to Pew Research, guys, listen. According to Pew Research, 60%. Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. 60% of men are single. 60%. That to me is like, okay, let's contextualize 60%. What that means is if you had 100 million men, 60 million, 100 million men, 60 million are single. That's crazy. That's insane if you ask me. Now, let's go ahead and read this article because I think to me, you guys are going to be, I am mind blown just by looking at it. I'm like, oh my God. But let's look at this here. So according to Pew Research, which we're actually going to look into that research, but this basically says 60% of men are single, and usually, the intimacy, which I just call the indoor Olympics, is at a 30-year low across all genders, and men must prioritize real life relationships, all the good yada 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 stuff. But let's go into the article. This is the article which says roughly 6 in 10 young men report being single. Overall, 3 in 10 U.S. adults are single, meaning they are not married, living with a partner, or in a committed romantic relationship. Now, is it because okay? You guys are gonna be like, okay, well, maybe they're just chasing your goals and dreams. No, no, no. All right, so I'll tell you a funny story. So I don't go to clubs because personally for me, going to clubs is like the equivalent. There's an age limit for that. If you're 40 and you're in a club, come on, what are you doing? Legitimately, we gotta have a conversation here. What do you do with your life? If you're 30, you're in a club. Come on, there's an age limit. Clubs are for people who have nothing to do. If you're in college, go ahead and do it. But what are you doing with your life if you're in that age group going to club? Now, why did I bring that up? I brought that up because you guys are gonna be like, okay, man, what are you talking about? Because you're literally going on a tangent right now, which I kind of actually am going on a tangent. But think about it from a perspective of, I was in a club. This was probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago. But it was just like a celebration thing. I don't drink, but I don't even know why I was in a club. But my girlfriend and I went in the club, and it was funny. And I took a scene. I took an invite. I kind of took a look at people that were in the club. And I remember I saw this one guy. Let's see, I have this water bottle, and this is how he was holding his beer. He was just walking around, just like this. He was like, and then he was just staring across the dance hall, just walking across the hall, and then you could see other guys just kind of like in the same way, just going like, and I'm like, what is going on right now? But what was fascinating to me, which is super insane and just comical, was could see like a lineup of guys just standing there, staring at the dance floor, hoping to talk to some girl or get some body contact from some girl, which to me was hilarious. It's just funny watching that. But I know that's not something to be laughing about. But I also think about it. I'm like, first off, why are these guys in the club? Most of them look like they should be at work or just going to sleep or just hitting the gym to actually live a better, more fulfilling life. They shouldn't be out there in a club. That's like, you shouldn't be out there doing that. Okay, you're an adult. You should be out there being productive and actually out there, providing for your family and being a productive member of society. But nevertheless, that's what I saw. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up for you to understand that most men are in a single situation, they're not single because, oh, my life is, they're just like, je ne sais quoi, or blah, 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 all that stuff. Most men are genuinely single because they do not know how to interact with someone from the opposite sex, and they are literally clueless about anything when it comes to dating or relationships. And also, there's also another bonus reason, which we're also going to be covering here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and continue this article because this article, it's interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you, but it's interesting to me. So some age groups have a higher share of singles than others. Adults under 30 are the most likely age group to be single, with roughly 47% of people under 30 are single. Fall into this category. In contrast, 30 to 49-year-olds are the least likely to be single, 21%, and about 3 in 10 adults aged 50 to 64 or 65 and older city is single, right? And if you kind of look, you can see look at the demographic. But the majority of single adults are not interested in being struck or even gazed by Cupid's arrow, which is interesting. This is very fascinating. It says, among Americans who are single, the largest share, 57%, say they are not currently looking for a relationship or casual dates. I personally say that's cope. If you ask me, that's cope. 57%, that's cope. I will tell you this. The reason why I'm saying this is because most people are saying that they're not interested in that because they're like, oh yeah, something, something, something. But genuinely, it's because they don't know how to do it. And we live in a digital age, and we live in an age in which I hate to say it, and I'm gonna be very realistic with you guys. If you as a man in a modern day, in a modern America, the odds, you gotta be careful. Okay, we live in an age in which you pretty much just got to be in a point in which I don't recommend. You shouldn't be interacting with anyone in the workplaces. You can't do that because obviously you don't know what's going to happen. You shouldn't be in a situation in which you are basically your margins for the dating pool is very shrink because if you go talk to a girl out of a if you go talk to a girl or talk to someone who you're interested in out of the blue or cold, they call it cold approach. Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, he's a creep. Oh my, get away from me, you creep." Yeah, yeah, that's you're gonna be called a creep, and most men genuinely do not want to be called a creep, and I don't know what guys like. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna wake up today and yeah, I'm just gonna go out, be creepy. Yeah, no guy ever actually does that. So what's actually genuinely fascinating is it's a very limited pool. It's a very limited. There's so little that you can actually do in this present day and age. So in a way, most men are single. They agree and say, you know what, they're being single by choice. But the reality, if you look at the communities, you guys know I've never spoken about this before, but yeah, if you look at there's red pill communities, blue pill communities, black pill communities, orange pill communities. Heck, I'm ever gonna make a community right now. Okay, I'm gonna make one. It's called the yellow community. There's a community of people that love food. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's community of people that love food. Let me see the yellow in the chat. But if you love food, yeah, yeah, yellow community. But now, what is interesting here is this. What is very, very fascinating here is this: is there's been a rise, and it's mostly people just using the cope. I do actually believe this. I do actually believe this. I will tell you guys this. If you are in the age group of, I say you're just turning 18 to like 28, 27, 28. You should not be in a position in which you are like trying to chase after a relationship or anything because as a man at that age group, you don't have anything to offer. I always joke about this is and I remember I was telling a friend her son. I was telling her son this because he was 16, turned 17. I told him this. I said, listen, if you happen to be on the streets right now, literally just on the streets, homeless and looking for help, no one's gonna do anything. They're just gonna drive past him like, he's able body. He should go find a job. Because generally, we all should be, if we're being honest with each other, as a guy in this day and age, or in any day and age, society does not regard you as anything of value unless you actually are someone who actually has value to provide, which means unless you're somebody who actually does provide value, genuinely you don't. Now, why did I decide to talk about this topic? I decided to talk about this topic is because of 60% of men are. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Maslow Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, so Maslow hierarchy of needs, and I want to go ahead and talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I want you guys to look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs because the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna find it just cause. Let me see if I can find the Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. I think I found it. Yep, I found it. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you guys here the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So this is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So basically, it goes in order of physiological needs. So this needs you need air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Okay, safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property, love and belonging. Okay, this is the whole point where people are telling, oh, I'm single. Oh yeah, by choice. It's because you're neglecting the number three need, which is love and belonging. Love and belonging, friendship, intimacy. That is actually a higher hierarchy than actual employment. That's why most people report higher satisfaction when they're in a relationship as opposed to when they're just on a job. Because yeah, your job could be fulfilling 1,000,000%. Your job is fulfilling, but the reality is you're doing it from a monetary perspective, which is good because it allows you the ability to be able to provide and protect and take care of yourself and take care of your family. But there's something to say when you have someone, people, a person, a partner that you genuinely care about, you feel a different level. And I'll say this, you feel a different level of life. You live a different, how would I call it? It's almost like a different, like a wool is lifted over your eyes and you actually live a different life just based off of the fact that you're having to spend that intimate one-on-one connection with someone else, right? And then esteem is where you have respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, and strength. That's the thing is when everything starts to align in which you have your physical, logical needs, you have a place to stay, you have money coming in, you have someone you care about, you feel confident, and then you feel self-actualization. Self-actualization is a desire to become the most that one can be. This is where people start becoming philanthropical. This is where you start trying to do more for others than you are doing for yourself. But the Maslow's hierarchy of needs has to be followed. It's a pyramid and has to be followed. You need to take care of your immediate needs, your safety needs, but then the most important thing is you also need that element of relationship. Now, if you're someone who is between the ages of 18 and 28, I always say this: if you're in that age group, then you should not be in a position where you're trying to jump to level 3 and say you're looking for intimacy. That's why I'm going to say this as a young man. I do not recommend young men out there to be in a position in which you're trying to, chase after as many women as you can, because that is your energy that's out there being wasted in the world trying to do things that genuinely are just, honestly, I call it hedonism. But it's up to you, whatever you try to do. But I absolutely recommend you want to be in a position in which you have a place to stay. That's why most girls who even say, "Oh yeah, I'm not dating a guy that he ain't got a house. If he doesn't have a house, nope, I'm not talking to him. If he doesn't have a car, nope, I'm not talking to him. If he doesn't have a if he lives in his mom's basement, nope, not talking to him. If he doesn't have this, nope, not to, and then they make all these things. You just gotta look at it. You're basically just saying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you have a place to stay? Do you have a place to stay? Yeah. Okay, good. Do you have good money, good income coming in? Yeah. Okay, good. Then you pretty much fall into a decent category of men in which you actually fall in a high category. So technically, I'm going to say this. So technically, if you say, you know what, there's no reason why you should be single. But if you're single, there's a few reasons. We're going to go ahead and cover that. Just go ahead and make sure you stay tuned. Now, as we go ahead and stay tuned, now, one of the things in which I want to go ahead and kind of pretty much talk about is this: is if you're in a way, your position in which you're like, you know what, in all of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I check them all, but for some reason I am stuck in the love and belonging, and for some reason I can't find my, what do they call that, what's the thing, you can't find it, because you know how women have the Prince Charming in the night and all that stuff. You can't find your, I don't know, I don't think guys have one. I don't think, I was gonna say you can't find your Kim Kardashian, but oh yeah. Oh no. No, that's not it. That's not it. But okay, I cracked myself up. But girlfriend's laughing out here. She's, because she's enjoying the show, because I'm like her favorite podcast host, even though she watches me once in a while. But this is interesting. I want you guys to kind of take a listen to this. Pay attention, guys. If you're on Spotify.
Social media is out to destroy men. It's no secret that men are visual creatures. And honestly, I see no problem with that. But the algorithms exploit this as a weakness to keep you on their platforms as long as possible. By only filling in your following tab with IG models, you are feeding into the exact system that's making men weak today. My guys, there's nothing wrong with having primal physical attraction to women, but use that primal desire to attract real girls in real life, to become the man.
So one of the things she's saying a few key things there, and she's talking about, one, social media destroys men. If you look at it, most men are in a position in which, I mean, if you look at your Instagram feed, just go. All right. So the other day, which is very some funny. So Instagram is a snitch, and I'll say this: Instagram is a snitch. So there's a friend of mine. There's a few friends of mine, and when you're in a relationship and when you like and post, it shows that you like the post. And I'm like, dude, you like and post. And it's like, it's kind of crazy to me, because I'm like, he's liking the post. And I'm like, dude, I mean, I know your girl sees you liking that post, because the thing is, the way the algorithm works is once you like something, it shows it to all of the people that are basically your followers or people, and say, hey, this person liked this. So which means you might like it. Right. So, and I'm like, you gotta be careful. But most thing you gotta understand, what happens a lot on Instagram is people are posting thirst traps. Okay, people are posting things in which to feed off your attention. It's so funny. Like, someone was asking me a question. He goes, Emmanuel, what works better? Do I do advertising with guys, or do I have you advertising with a woman? And I'm like, dude, an advertising woman will give you 1,000,000% more impressions, and you get better performance if it's a woman that you're using it versus a guy. And I'm like, dude, I've had ads that was a stock footage from Canva, or stock footage, and you'd have guys comment on it like, oh, hey, beautiful, you're so beautiful, I would so like to talk to you. And I'm like, dude, this is an ad. Okay, you're commenting on an ad saying, hey, beautiful, like, come on. But the you got to understand, you have to be willing to quench and control your urges. Okay, very important. As a guy, you got to be able to. But Most important thing is when you're on social media, you cannot, or just even delete social media in general, unless you're following me, then delete everybody else that you're following and then just follow me. That's perfectly fine. I should be the only one fine because guess what? You're gonna learn get a lot of value from just following me. So it's fine if you follow me because I don't post thirst traps. Okay. I technically am a walking thirst trap. Just kidding. But Ah, I'm having a fun. I'm having a fun time. I don't know if you're having a fun time, but I am having a fun time because this is going to be the best podcast episode yet. Because guess what? I'm actually just being me, just having a chit chat talking to you. Okay. No, well, there's kind of, I was going to say no holds barred, but it's kind of a little bit. So we'll just keep it a little bit PG-13 because obviously, everyone's trying to cancel everybody. So I'm trying to stay on the internet longer than 6 months. But as we continue here, guys. So one, stay off of those traps. I'm going to tell you something. An ex of mine, you know how Instagram recommends like people you may know. She's a very amazing person. Popped up, and I'm like, get thee behind me, Satan. Block. Okay. Now, why do I say that? It's not because my girlfriend is right here watching me. Why I say that is because I know personally that when you start seeing things like that, it starts inciting old memories and start inciting feelings in your head. And what that ends up doing is that basically it leads to distraction from your main goal and your main purpose. And now you all it starts with a message of like, hello, how have you been? And the next thing you know, bam, you're like talking about stuff, and the next thing you know, you guys are talking about the indoor Olympics. But since you guys are God-fearing men, man of God, you man of God, obviously, you're watching this. But the most important thing to keep in mind is this is you have to curate what you're taking in, right? And if you're on social media feeding into the hedonism and feeding into, the thirst traps that's out there, and you're just clicking on like, yes, 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 oh my God, yes, and then you're just feeding into it, you're basically just destroying your energy, and you're basically falling into the trap in which your entire life is just going to be governed by your social media feed. And what is also interesting, if you actually go in and look at the statistic and you look at study and look at data, most of social media is about 54% men and 78% women. But if you look at the time consumption, most men are out on social media trying to see if they can find your love. You find that girl on that you see, she's like, oh my God, she looks so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then you message her, nothing. And then you message her like, oh, here's my Cash App. Send me $100. And you're like, oh my God, she messaged me. And then you send her $100. And she's like, oh my God, you are so, 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 so amazing. Do you want to subscribe to my OnlyFans? And you're like, yes. That's what a lot of men do. And guess what ends up happening? That's the reason why most men you never go ahead in a position where you go ahead and make it out in life, is because you're giving into your urges, which is not good. Okay, got to remember, just because someone's giving you attention, just because you get a little bit of attention, just understand something is, if you don't have a position in which you know where you're going in life, you're going to end up giving into that. Okay. Now, another thing which is very interesting is, I want to actually go ahead and cover this, which is very interesting. I'm not going to talk about this, but 68.7% of men watch corn. What is corn? Corn is corn. I'm not going to go into it because for the sake of fact that we're on YouTube, and obviously I don't want to get into a position where people like that. But I want to just go ahead and share the stats. This is 60% of men are single, and 68% of men watch the stuff. I mean, I don't need to be a math genius, to be like, I'm not a math genius, but I'm like, 60% of men are single and 68% of men give into their urges and they watch that stuff, then technically that's where the math. So actually, technically, 60% of men are single, and then the rest of the men are in relationships just watching it. Am I lying? Am I lying? Jeez. You're probably watching this like, Emmanuel, oh my God. Listen, I'm not lying, because you know yourself as you are. You're like, yeah, this guy's kind. But the reality is I'm going to say this. We're going to have a heart-to-heart talk, guys. You have your stuff that comes on. That's none of my business. But genuinely, I want you to ask yourself, in the next 5 to 10 years, do you think that whatever it is you're doing is going to genuinely help you get to your goals in life? Just think about it. In the next 5 to 10 years, do you think that you watching and giving into those urges is going to help you, reach your goals? Because there's no man that would say that he hasn't watched that stuff. I'm going to refer to it as the stuff that shall not be made to be named Harry Potter. The name that shall not be said. Okay? Most men watch it. So you watching, it's not a guilty thing, but it's something that that every time, think about it. I'm going to tell you guys, it's actually a study. that when you give into it and you use, I'm not going to get into details as to what happens after you watch it. That's your business. Okay, this is a friendly show, friendly kids show, so we got to keep it a little bit PG-13. But one of the hormones that's released into the male body is something called prolactin. Okay, now prolactin, most men don't know what prolactin is. Most men don't understand, the negative. Prolactin is also a good and bad, because prolactin is a bonding hormone that's released. It's released in females and released in males. Now it helps you with bonding with your child. Now, but here are the side effects of one of the few side effects of when your body releases excessive prolactin, especially when you watch the name that should not be named 7 times a day. Because if you actually look at stats, I'm going to pull the stats here to show you guys, but most men are watching it 3 to 4 times a day. So if you're in that point, your body's releasing excessive prolactin. That's why you end up feeling tired and low energy after all that stuff. But over the last years, the metabolic role of basic prolactins emerged. Prolactin excess is known to promote weight gain. Okay, so what that means actually promotes weight gain when you're bro. There's a reason why you know what they call the dad bod. You guys know what the dad bod is? So the dad bod is, you guys, even relationship weight. You ever notice, like, when you're single, you're like, yeah, you're like, yo, shredded, good shape, and then you're in a relationship, like 40 pounds just automatically show up from nowhere. Prolactin, right? So it releases, you cause prolactin, weight gain, obesity. Let me see if you guys are reading this. We have metabolic rate. It likely due to you have glucoinsulin, all that stuff, and the suppression of psychologic dopaminic tone. So there's actually suppression of you get a little bit of a boost of dopamine, but your body actually takes a big hit. Okay, so that's actually one of the things that happen, and you can also get some cardiovascular diseases, and also you ever notice, I hate to say it, but when you watch it, your body doesn't develop fully. You get patches of beards, you like a lot of acne, a lot of stuff happens just based off of that. Now, as I'm gonna just say it, as a guy, you got to think about it from a perspective of where do you want to be in life? Do you want to be somebody that's poorly facially, not developing properly? Do you want to be someone who's in a position in which you're not necessarily reaching your full potential and taking what life and God has given to you and being that individual that, women are like, oh my God, damn, that look at that, damn. Okay. You want to be like, damn, they want to be like, damn, son. I'd be like, oh my God. Right now, oh, look, she's laughing. That's funny. Okay, so which is also funny. This is also very, very, very funny statistics. Okay, this is a very, very funny. Listen, I'm having a good time today, guys. I'm having a phenomenal time. I'm having a great time. If you're not having a good time, I'm sorry for you. I don't know what's happening to you. Probably got way too much prolactin. You got to be having some good time. Okay. Now, I want you guys to look at this statistic. So I want to see if I can find this here. But roughly, most people watching corn, there's an average of okay, guys. Listen to this. $3,000 is spent on corn content per second. 3 grand. Okay, I'm not going to reveal the article too much because it kind of goes into detail and stuff and says a few verbiage. Since we're on YouTube and we're kids friendly show. Okay, so 3,000 every second, and there are 28,000 users are watching it on probably every second. So the 28,258 people watching it every second. Okay, and 372 people are typing the word adult into a search engine every second. I don't know how they got the stats, but just know you're being spied on. Don't think you're watching it. You're being spied on. So if 28,000 people are watching it every second, and there's 60 seconds in a minute, so if you do 28 million by 60, you're probably coming up with roughly about what 141 million. Oh no, 14 million. Well, yeah, 1.4 million. My bad. 1.4 million people, I think. My math is probably off, but yeah. So, and every day, so if you just look at the numbers, if you look at the math, 28,000 people are blowing away your life and dreams. And they're basically suppressing and they're getting in a position in which they're actually not realizing their full potential just based off of the fact that what they're suppressing your inner energy. I'm going to tell you something. If you go, I want to tell you, which is very interesting. I'm going to give you guys a simple trick. If you go 4 days, at least 72 hours to 4 days without, the name that should not be named, you actually have more confidence to actually interact with someone of the opposite sex. But also, your brain is also sharper because you get into a state of primal hunting. It's like you're like a hunter now, right? When you get into like a hunting phase, it's kind of like you're like it's almost like you're sharper. You know what to say. It's like, think about it, of you every your body just functions properly. So if you're in a position right now, if you're doing it every day, I'm going to recommend you caution away from it, because I mean, obviously 68% of men watch what shall not be named, and 60% are single. There's a correlation here, guys. There's a correlation here. So the reason why I'm making this content is I'm just making this content for, just out of love, out of care, out of kindness. Okay, because as you guys know, I'm a man just like you, and and almost like my girlfriend was saying this to me today. We're having a very interesting conversation, and she said something to me which made my head very, very, very big. Absolutely phenomenal. But I'm gonna say this, it's just wow, 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 wow. That's how I say it's just wow. And she goes, I'm gonna say in her tone. She's like, babe, you're very, very inspirational, and a lot of men look up to you. A lot of men look up to you. I know she doesn't say it like that. She's like, a lot of men. No, no. It's like, a lot of men look up to you. That's it. No, no, no. As you guys know, my voice is too deep for that. But she goes, a lot of men look up to you, right? And I was like, interesting. So, and I'm like, and I started looking at the numbers, and I started looking at the stats. And what's interesting is 78% of the audience are guys. So I was like, you know what? We talk about business. Okay. So we might as well talk about self and male improvement for the general, right? If that's the thing, is to. So I wanted to talk about that because I think most of you guys actually need to know, because I used to be a dating coach. And what was funny is I used to get questions. Guys would come and be like, Emmanuel, my girlfriend left me. They'd be like, I want her back. I want her back. Right? You'd have, or they'll be like, oh my God, I cannot. Oh my God, I cannot imagine my life without. Now, what? I'm having a good time. Okay, so they come and they're like, I want my girlfriend back, and I'm like, okay, fine, okay. So what? My whole first question is always like, why did she break up with you? And then it's like, I don't know. I was like, oh, she just randomly just walked away. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, did you have any arguments? I'm like, then they go, yeah. She would just bring up little stuff. I don't understand why. She'll be like, my socks is here, or like I need to clean the house, or I need to do the dishes or something. And I'm like, she broke up with you over dishes? I'm like, what? What? I'm gonna say this. No girl, if a girl tells you she breaks up with you over dishes, it's not true. She's not bringing up with you over dishes, over your house, over whatever it is. No. Okay. It's because if whatever it is that she's bringing up and saying she's pissed off with you about, it's actually a symptom of something else deep down that you're not doing for her, right? And you got to think about a few things. Is women do not like to be stressed. Okay, they almost kind of think about it like in a sense that they want to. It's like a princess life, right? Some women, obviously, there's there's women that love to work and do everything a man can do. Obviously, you guys are great, boss babes. But but let's think about it. Let's think about this, okay? If she's pissed off at you, or like, oh my God, you're not doing the dishes. Oh my God, you're not doing this. It's a sign to saying, dude, you got to step up and be more of a man. Legit. Like, you got to step up. Like, imagine if she just showed up and like, she's like, you're like, hey, babe, everything's taken care of. The bills, nothing. You don't got to worry about it. Pack your bags and we're going out. We're going somewhere on a vacation. She's like, okay, where we going? She's gonna be like, oh my God, where we going? You're like, you don't have to know. We're just going. Just pack your bags. Put something a little, all that stuff. I'm not gonna get, it's a kid show, so I can't really say all the stuff. But she tells you to do all you tell her all this stuff. She's like, you go on this nice date, and she didn't even have to think about it. She didn't have to plan it. She just showed up, and she's like, oh my God. Next thing you know, she's like, oh my God, you're the best boyfriend ever. And the next thing you know, your socks, guess what? Your socks is not a problem. The dishes are not a problem anymore. Because the reality is this is whenever she's giving you issues, it's not the issue that's the problem. It's deep down, there's something you're not doing. And you got to step up and be a man. And in a way, just kind of be her rock and be in a position in which she doesn't have to legit worry about anything. Maybe it's like, because you got to ask, you got to do some survey. Go to your ex-girlfriend and ask a survey. You should be like, hey, okay, we have a 59 page questionnaire of your experience with the relationship. please review here, and you give we need your consent to use this on a live podcast. Just funny, but literally, just think about it from a perspective of, okay, if you made enough money, would she be, complain about stuff? If she never had to worry about bills, because I understand everyone does 50-50. I think if you want to do 50-50, that's fine for you, but generally I'm not a 50-50 kind of guy, because technically if it's 50-50, then it's a position of like, now you're looking at a roommate and you're like, hey, did you pay the light bill? Did you pay the water bill? Did you pay this? Did you pay that? Did you pay half your rent? I need you half your rent. Then it just becomes like a thing of like, versus like, she just lives there. She's like, how much is the rent? You're like, she doesn't even know how much the rent costs. She doesn't even know what's included in the bill. She's just like, I just live here. Right. And then there's people who are like, hey, you know what? I don't like that. I want to pay for my stuff. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I'm going to say this. However you want to set up your relationship is working for you. But if you find a position which your girl left you, then it's because, one, you're not being a man. You got to be more of a man. Okay. And then two, which is also another thing in which most men don't take into account is, I don't even want to talk about like if your girl left you. I just want to think about it from a perspective of most. I mean, no disrespect by this. If you feel disrespected by this, then it's true. Your life is boring. Most men are rich, they have a lot of money, they're millionaires, but they can't seem to attract anybody, and that's just basically because their life is boring. I can say this is, I will be very honest with you and tell you guys this: making money is boring. There's no money that nobody is like, oh my God, I have so much fun. No, making money is boring because there's long hours. There's long hours and you have to deal with people. And sometimes people that you're dealing with, you don't really want to deal with them, but you just have no choice but to do it. So making money on its own is boring and filled with heartaches and stuff that you don't want to deal with, right? Now imagine if you spend 9 to 12 hours every day, all you do is work, and you come home and then all you guys do is stay home and you don't go out, you don't do anything, you don't take out a date night, nothing. I mean, after a while, you're going to be like bored. There's a saying that you can, okay, all right. I'm not going to say the saying just because this is the internet and the internet is forever. And someone's going to clip this post on TikTok and be like, oh my God, Emmanuel said this and this and this. Listen, I mean, just absolutely just trying to help when I say this. So if you guys private message me on Instagram, I will and say, Emmanuel, I watched this video, and tell me the exact minute and second and say, hey, Emmanuel, what's it saying? I will private message you what it is, but I'm not going to say it online just based off the fact that, the internet be crazy. Okay. So summary of this, guys, let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see more of this content of, I'm trying to make it more of like a male improvement channel / business. So we talk male improvement / business. And then also, you guys know I love AI. So we talk AI too, because, I love me some AI. Okay. That's my country voice here, guys. It's my country, country. Just kidding. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you guys there, guys. So it's pretty much, remember, if you're in a position which you are in there's a huge statistic of a man. Remember, just to recap, guys. 1, stop watching the name that should not be said. Okay, focus on yourself. Focus on, remember, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Go check it out. 2, if you are, and then also another thing, if you're struggling in a relationship, if your relationship have issues, you just got to be more of a man. You just got to be the man. And you're like, Emmanuel, what does be the man mean? Like, what do you mean be the man? What is be the man? Then you got to subscribe to the channel, because that's going to be another video. I'm going to talk about what it means to be the man. You're the man. She'll be like, yeah, that's the man. All right. Now, I'm in a good mood and I'm about to go eat. Okay. So much love to everybody. Thanks again for everyone joining me live today and watching this. If I did not read the comments, it's because of some reason I didn't read the comments. But obviously, thanks again for you guys watching me live. And thanks again. Much love. Sub to the channel. If you watch this, subscribe to the channel. I see you. And like the video. Okay, guys? All right. And don't search adults on the internet. Because remember,